Good morning, everyone. This is Debbie Royce, Empire State Development's Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting. Before we formally begin, I would ask that everybody please mute your lines unless you're speaking. As we have our directors joining by video this morning, we'll do a quick roll call just before we get started. Kevin Eunice.
Here.
Howard Zemsky.
Here.
Hilda Rosario Escher.
Here.
Eric Gertler.
Present.
Cesar Perales.
Present.
And Benson Martin, designee for Acting Superintendent of the Department of Financial Services, Adrian Harris.
Here.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. And Acting Chair Eunice, you can begin.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Before I call this meeting to order, I'll note for the record that I will be serving as acting chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, for Thursday, October 21st, 2021. I'd like to ask everyone to please mute your audio until you are ready to speak. I'd also ask that anyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin so that you can be identified for folks joining us by teleconference. I'd like to note for the record that in accordance with recently passed legislation, this meeting will be conducted by video and teleconference. Also note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items before submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. yesterday, and that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. As always, the directors have received the written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time during the presentations. This time I would ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any items on the agenda. If so, I would ask that you please make an appropriate disclosure on the record, and we'll remind you to recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. All right, hearing none. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes for July 15th, 2021 and September 14th, 2021 directors meetings.
Kevin, I don't hear you that well.
No?
We can hardly hear you, Kevin.
All right, let me see what we can do about that.
That's better.
Okay. I'm going to move this phone a little closer. How's that?
Great, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right, thank you for letting me know, Hilda. Again, remind everybody to please state your name before you speak. Are there any questions, comments, deletions, or on either set of the director's minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Howard, so moved.
Second, Hilda.
Thank you, Hilda. Thank you, Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I'd ask Ed Hamilton to please present the item relating to the appointment of an officer of the corporation. Ed, if you're ready and able.
I am. Good morning, everybody. This is Ed Hamilton. Good morning to the board members. The board is being asked to approve the appointment of Goldie Wexel to Deputy General Counsel, and that would be effective as of September 14th. I think the board is familiar with Goldie. She actually has been serving as the acting general counsel with the departure of Liz Fine since August 26th, and she's also been a long-standing ESD employee since 2007 and has done a multitude of tasks since then. And with that, there's more background in the written materials, but if there's any questions, if not, I would ask for that motion.
So moved, Howard.
I would just like to add, having worked closely with Goldie, congratulations, and just appreciate your continued hard work, dedication to the organization. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Eric. I appreciate that.
And I support the motion.
Questions or comments?
Goldie's great.
No. All right, we do not have any comments from the public. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Benson.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Before continuing with our agenda, I'd just like to take a moment to give a brief corporate update and let you know some of the great things that our colleagues have been working on over the last few weeks. So Yesterday, Governor Hochul was in Genesee County with our Finger Lakes team to celebrate the groundbreaking of Plug Power's new $290 million hydrogen fuel production facility and electric substation. It's the largest hydrogen plant in North America and the first project in the Western New York park. It will create up to 68 jobs, and the facility will produce up to 45 tons of green energy daily. Credit to Greg Albert in the regional office for his work to advance this and other projects with Plug Power in the region. I had the privilege of joining Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin and our state partners at NYSERDA earlier this month for an announcement at the Port of Queens. Lieutenant Governor announced the largest single offshore wind supply contract award in New York State to support the state's Sunrise Wind offshore wind project. Ørsted and Eversource signed an $86 million supply chain contract to build advanced foundation components for the wind turbines at the Port of Queens, bringing construction and steel manufacturing work to New York and creating 230 jobs. Together with our agency partners at the Department of Financial Services, Benson, please note, ESD announced the first awards from the New York State Community Development Financial Institution Fund. In total, 31 CDFIs were awarded more than $4.9 million to support greater access to safe, affordable banking services in historically underserved and low-income communities. These are part of a multi-year $25 million state commitment to support affordable financial products and services programming to low and moderate income New Yorkers. Thanks to Pravina Raghavan and Ray Salabarios and the Small Business Division for their work in launching this program. Earlier this month, we announced that medical device and medical disposable manufacturer Polymer Conversions started construction on a $14 million expansion project in Western New York. The company is adding 45 jobs to its workforce of 125 to support the increased demand for U.S.-sourced medical supplies. Great job by Lori Abonader, a senior project manager in our Western New York office. Last month, the governor announced that Constellation Brands, Hilda, is relocating its headquarters to the historic Aqueduct building along the Genesee River in downtown Rochester. The Fortune 500 beverage company will invest approximately $50 million to renovate 5 buildings on the Aqueduct campus and expects to create more than 80 jobs. This project is being supported by URI funding and Excelsior Jobs program. Thanks to Steve Golding and Vinny Esposito in our Finger Lakes office for their work on this really cool project. Southern Tier, a Canadian firm, Ubiquity Solar, planning to establish its U.S. solar photovoltaic manufacturing operations at the former IBM site in Endicott. The company is expected to repurpose 800,000 square feet of space, representing an approximately $61 million investment and the creation of up to 150 jobs. Credit to Dave Whipple in our Strategic Business Division. Mohawk Valley, ESD announced the groundbreaking of Fountainhead's new $19 million warehouse and distribution center in Herkimer County. The project will consolidate warehouse operations to a single location, retaining all 200 employees. Thanks to Mark Labazetta, Mike Reese, and the Mohawk Valley Region Office for shepherding this project. And in support of the state's craft beverage industry, Hudson House and Distillery completed the first phase of its project to establish a small batch distillery and event venue on the 27-acre site of a former Ulster County monastery. Thanks to Monique Legendre and Tom Scaglione in the Mid-Hudson Regional Office. Just wanted to give you guys some sense of everything that our colleagues are doing around the state, and really to thank them all for their hard work. So, thanks. All right. So, what do we got? Yeah. Eric?
I said thank you. That's it.
Oh, got it. All right. So with that, I would ask, I believe we have Pravina Raghavan looking to do a presentation or update on the small business program.
Yes. Hi. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you, directors. I wanted to give you an update on the New York State COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. We released our first report as required by statute on September 30th, 2021, which indicated that we had dispersed 11,995 grants for $190 million. This is truly a statewide grant program with small businesses in every county receiving grants. There were several focus areas of the program, as you recalled, when it was started. First was primarily to support small businesses that did not get any or very little federal assistance, so those who were left out, which tended to be micro businesses, socially economically disadvantaged businesses, and minority and women-owned businesses. We spent a lot of time focusing on those categories. 99% of the grants went to micro businesses, which is our businesses that employ less than 10 people. 48.9% of the grants have gone to socially and economically disadvantaged businesses, and 88.6 went to minority and women-owned businesses. And just so you know, to reach this business, reach these businesses and help them, they tend to need a lot of help because, as you know, they don't have accountants, lawyers, and a whole bunch of staff on speed dial. So we worked with our entrepreneurship assistance centers, small business development centers, and other technical assistance partners to provide one-on-one support to small businesses. And to give you an idea of what these 69 partners have been able to accomplish as of September 30th, they're able to provide one-on-one assistance to over 11,000 applicants, had 550 informational webinars, and logged over 146 calls to potential applicants to assist them in getting their applications done. On August 25th, Governor Hochul announced the expansion of eligibility criteria on the program to include businesses, small businesses with gross receipts of up to $2.5 million raised from $500,000, and businesses that received less than $250,000 in the federal Paycheck Protection Program were also eligible for this grant. We've been working with our ESD marketing team and our third-party provider, Lendustry, to get the word out through digital media, social media campaigns, and other events. We're progressing, and I'll give you a preview. Unofficially, we were already over 17,000 grants for $280 million as of this morning. So we are on an upward trajectory, and we're working to get this critical funding to small businesses to support the recovery of the small business economy, but also the New York State economy. And we appreciate anyone's help to get the word out about this program so that we can get more small businesses the critical aid they need. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pravina. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Pravina? I guess I would just say thanks. It's so much work. 17,000 grants it's a lot of grants, and they're $15,000, $16,000 a grant. Pravina, the small business team, the marketing team, the policy team, everybody has really just, on so many of the different COVID-related assistance programs, have stepped up and done an amazing job. So, Pravina, thanks to you and the team.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. This is such a great, important program, Pravina. You and your team have done such an outstanding job. So thank you. It is ever more critical in today's world. So thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll move to the project section of today's agenda. Regional directors and program staff are on the line with us today to present their items and to answer any related questions. Amanda Mays will start off with two projects from our Western New York region. Once Amanda provides the presentations, we'll take separate votes on each item. Amanda, when you're ready, please begin with the Steuben expansion project.
Thanks, Kevin. The directors are requested to approve a grant of $714,000 to Steuben Foods, Inc. from the Regional Counsel Capital Fund, which is CFA Round 9, for a portion of costs associated with the $15.5 million purchase of new machinery and equipment at its Elma facility. The 2019 Regional Counsel Priority Project helped expand Steuben Foods' capacity in response to increased consumer demand and need for additional production capacity. Steuben is a food and beverage manufacturer that processes and packages a variety of dairy and plant-based foods, ingredients, and beverages. Through this grant, the company was able to increase its capacity for milk receiving and its processing and blending capabilities for efficiently producing additional volume. With this investment at its more than 450,000 square foot facility, Steuben will retain its 583-person workforce and has already exceeded its job creation commitment of an additional 20 employees. Expanded production will also directly increase the need for raw materials, ingredients, and services from New York State vendors, which during the company's last fiscal year totaled more than $50 million in goods and services from New York State entities. The company expects that local sourcing to grow 20% with the completion of this project. The project is consistent with the Western New York Regional Council's strategic plan as it invests in the target industry sectors of manufacturing and agriculture and allows a Western New York company to continue to stay competitive and take on new customers. The second project is the UB Main Street Campus Capital. The directors are requested to approve a grant of up to $1 million from the Regional Council Capital Fund, CFA Round 5, to SUNY RF on behalf of the State University of New York at Buffalo, or UB. The 2015 Regional Council Priority Project provided funding for a portion of costs associated with a $13.9 million project in 2 historic buildings on UB's historic South Campus in the northernmost part of the city of Buffalo, known as the Main Street Campus. Townsend Hall, which had been vacant since 1984, underwent interior demolition, removal of hazardous materials, and reconstruction of interior systems and features to make it inhabitable. It is now home to UB's 75-person human resources staff and new HR training space, where it hosts all new UB faculty and staff, giving them an ability to introduce them to the University Heights neighborhood, businesses, and community services. Upon completion, the building was commissioned to meet UB's LEED goals. The project also involved the decommissioning and removal of radioactive research equipment and contaminated materials housed within Parker Hall. A portion of the building's roof was temporarily removed to allow for the equipment removal. The space is now shelved for future building-wide renovations, which will resume as the university secures additional funding. This project is consistent with the Regional Council's plan to invest in smart growth and placemaking. It will reuse historic structures on the South Campus and establish connections in the neighborhood, engaging the University Heights population with social and economic life in the city's businesses and institutions.
All right. Thanks, Amanda.
Kevin, can I, for the record, indicate that I am recusing myself from voting on this project? I serve as the vice chair of the Board of Trustees of the State University of New York, and as such, I think someone may see a conflict. So I am recusing myself.
Duly noted. Duly noted. Are there any questions, other questions or comments from the directors on either of these 2 items? All right. All right. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to these items. I would now entertain a motion for approval of the first of the 2 items that Amanda presented, the Steuben expansion project.
So moved. It's Howard.
Second, Hilda.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I would now entertain a motion for approval of the second item, to be
So moved.
the University of Buffalo Main Street Campus Revitalization Project, and noting that Cesar will be recusing himself from this item. Is there a motion?
So moved, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Eric, second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Fantastic. Thank you. The motion carries. Vinny Esposito will now present an item from our Finger Lakes region. Vinny, if you're ready.
Good morning, Kevin.
Before
Sorry?
Vinny says it, Vinny, will you allow me to make a comment? I
Of course.
keep hearing about the fact that the employers are unable to find employees. And I know that some of these items, just as the Steuben one did, indicate that there are people being hired or that people have been hired to meet the project's requirements. If anyone who is commenting on a project has anything to tell us about the inability to find employees, I think it would be appropriate to fill us in. It's something that I think I know very little about in terms of in New York State and fulfilling our obligations. And it would be useful to find whether or not we are having trouble finding employees.
All right. We'll certainly keep that in mind, Cesar. Vinny,
Sure. My project is not a job creation project, but I will certainly affirm, Cesar, what you're hearing, that just about every employer is having challenges filling out their open positions, regardless of industry. And it's obviously a national problem, but one I think acutely being felt in upstate, and something that's the subject of a lot of effort, I think, in every region, in particular with some of the new federal program opportunities as passed from the ARPA. There are a lot of workforce development funds available to help both skills training, upgrading, and talent attraction that is work that continues for everybody. So that's a very general commentary.
Has any of this affected projects in your region? Has it made it difficult for the project to be carried out?
It has certainly challenged some employers who I think would like to hire more people to have to be more efficient with less, and perhaps not grow as quickly as they otherwise could. But I've not seen it yet significantly stop expansion opportunities by businesses. There's still a lot of momentum, particularly in manufacturing and technology businesses in this region.
Thanks.
I think it's more acutely being felt by the businesses that suffered most from the pandemic in the retail and hospitality sectors, but that's generalization as well. So my project, the directors are being asked to approve $1,150,000 capital grant to VJ Gaudieri Constructors for the Ellicott Place project in the city of Batavia as part of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative Round 2. This grant will support the renovation, or did support the renovation, of a 51,800 square foot building with commercial space on the first floor and 10 market rate apartments on the second floor, located in a formerly vacant building in the center of town. As a result of the new market rate apartments, this structure has been transformed to fill the need for residential housing in Batavia, in large part to support the project Kevin started the meeting with yesterday, announcing the first groundbreaking at the large Stamp industrial complex with Plug Power. This market rate housing is the type that is needed in Batavia to support that kind of expansion. The project was completed in August of 2021. The project cost is $3,150,000, which is an increase of $650,000 from the original application and awarded amount, recognizing the increased construction costs that are associated with many projects these days. So our project cost in total wound up being about 36%. I'll be happy to answer any questions about this.
Thanks, Vinny. Any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? All right. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public on this item, and I would now entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I move the motion, Hilda.
Eric, second.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Steve Hunt will now present an item from the North Country region. Steve, when you're ready, please.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, directors. I'm presenting one project from the North Country today, awarded a Round 5 Regional Council capital grant. We are seeking board authorization to release $1 million to the Village of Clayton for a portion of a $11.4 million project to upgrade existing utilities, removing and relocating overhead power lines, phone lines, and cable lines to new underground utilities infrastructure as part of an overall Main Street improvement project. High voltage utility lines created a major safety hazard and were detrimental to historic buildings in the downtown corridor. And while New York State's Department of Transportation had committed funding for the rehab of the streetscape, including streets, sidewalks, and curbs, they were unable to address the high voltage utility lines. Due to the large scale of this project, there was a significant funding gap that would have made the project prohibitive. The project is consistent with the North Country Regional Economic Development Council's placemaking strategy, establishing and cultivating attractive communities where people want to visit, and by improving safety and quality of life by upgrading infrastructure in North Country communities. The project began in September 2019 and is near completion. Upon satisfying its obligations under the incentive proposal, ESD is recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for this project.
Great. Thanks, Steve. I guess for the directors, if you haven't seen there's some photos in the materials on this one of before and after. And what an amazing before and after for this project. It goes from a place that, as Steve said, you have wires hanging all over the place to.
I can hardly hear you, Kevin.
Sorry, moved away again. Great. Check out the pictures in the before and after pictures in the materials. It's a pretty impressive before and after. So, entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Sherry.
Thanks, Sherry.
Second, Hilda.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Bud Sweet will now present an item from the Southern Tier region. Bud, when you're ready.
Thank you, Kevin and the board. Today we have for your consideration a $375,000 investment in a $15 million plus project. It's important to note this was an attraction project between us and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's situate in the county of Tioga, Owego, which is just a kind of a point of reference, is part of the Binghamton, New York MSA, which comprises Broome and Tioga counties. The company, after consideration, of course, made the right choice and decided to move to New York State and set up an operation here. So this is a wholly new plant. They're looking to create 42 new jobs, production jobs, over the next 5 years. They're engaged in a galvanizing operation, and just for those who are not in the galvanizing business, it's a process where materials are coated to prevent corrosion. This is usually for materials that are exposed to outside elements. They're put in a 840-degree vat of zinc, and it extends the useful life of whatever surface is being coated. And it has wide applicability in a lot of different sectors: recreation, utilities, energy production, and the like. So at present, the facility has been built. The operation is underway. It's in full operation. And we think it's a great win for the state.
Great. Thanks, Bud. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? All right. As noted earlier, and again, we do not have any comments from the public. I would now entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. We next have an at the direction of grant item, which will be presented by Simone Bethune. Simone, when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning to everyone. The directors are being asked to approve a Senate-sponsored $300,000 working capital grant to the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce on behalf of its economic development partner, Brooklyn Alliance, Inc. The grant was initiated in the New York State budget, fiscal year 2020-2021, at the direction of State Senator Roxanne Persaud of the 16th Senate District to promote economic development in the borough of Brooklyn. Each year, the Brooklyn Alliance serves over 10,000 businesses and individuals in the borough through a targeted portfolio of programs that include business development and assistance, workforce development, healthcare, advocacy, and tourism. To help address the needs of communities and small businesses, the Alliance used ESD funds for its Summer Fancy Food Show, an international fancy food and confection show, which was held from September 26 through 29, 2021. The show, which attracted approximately 100,000 visitors, organized a delegation of 11 Brooklyn manufacturers to display and promote their products and to pitch and connect with the right buyers to export products to new markets. Additionally, the Brooklyn Alliance will use part of the funding to set up the Neighborhood Entrepreneurship Project Business Recovery Program to help address the needs of minority and immigrant-owned businesses as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and assist those businesses with applications and accessibilities to micro-lending programs. ESD funding to offset the Brooklyn Alliance's investment of $345,000 will be applied for both programs through December 2021. And I can take any questions.
Thanks, Simone. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this fancy item as presented by Simone? All right, as noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Benson.
Second, Hilda.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Next, we have 5 New York Ventures investment items, which will be presented by Pravina Raghavan, Clayton Besh, and Jonathan Green. After all 5 investments are presented, we will take a vote on each item. Pravina, when you're ready, please begin with Kangaroo Time.
Thank you. Good morning again, directors. I'm presenting on behalf of New York Ventures an investment in Kangaroo Time, which, apologies, I just picked the wrong one. I picked Terra Biosystems, so. Kangaroo Time, which is a Buffalo-based New York software company that provides mobile and web all-in-one childcare management platforms, childcare center. Kangaroo Time provides its childcare centers the ability to support teachers with classroom automation, manage employees, simplify compliance with regulatory reporting, payment collection, parent communications to increase the center's profit margin. This is a follow-on investment. We did originally have a $500,000 investment from the New York Venture Fund in September 2019. Kangaroo Time is also a 2017 43 North Grand Prize winner of $750,000. We are requesting the directors the permission to invest up to $1 million in equity for a $5 million round, which will increase, which the remaining of the balance is being provided by balanced private sector investors led by private investors, including Cultivation Capital. Should I just go to the next one or hold for questions? Sorry.
Yeah, let's go to the next one, and then we can come back we'll run through it again with particular questions.
Sure. The second item is also another follow-on investment, which means we have invested before, is for Terra Biosystems, a life science company based in New York, founded by a woman, provides predictive in vitro human cardiac tissue models for use in drug discovery and safety assessments. The company was founded by researchers from both Columbia University and the University of Toronto. We are requesting up to $400,000 in a $2 million SAFE financing round. We have provided prior support to Terra. We invested $2 million in the company's Series A in 2016, $600,000 in the company's Series A2 in 2019, and $300,000 in the company's SAFE in May 2021. In addition, we provided their seed funding as part of the Innovate Fund, which is our fund-to-fund. So this company has been graduating as it's been growing through our various venture programs.
All right. Thanks, Pravina. Clayton, if you want to present your 2 items.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. The first one is Omoji. New York Ventures would like to ask the board for authorization for the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund to co-invest up to $1 million in Omoji Inc.'s current Series A round. Omoji is a Brooklyn, New York-based company in Brooklyn Navy Yard's New Lab that builds a new carbon-free catalyst system that converts liquid ammonia as a source for hydrogen for fuels, offering substantially improved energy density for applications. The innovative solution can enable the decarbonization of heavy-duty transportation such as trucking and shipping, which remains one of the biggest challenges for the net zero 2050 target. Omoji solves many of the hydrogen's transportation and storage problems by offering a very efficient catalyst that converts ammonia into nitrogen and 3 molecules of hydrogen when and where needed. Omoji's solution is to use ammonia stored as a source for use in fuel cells mainly. The catalyst is 10 times more efficient at releasing hydrogen from ammonia than the current standard processes. The round is expected to fund the design and building of a pilot line over the next 18 months. Are there any questions?
Clayton, we'll come back to
okay.
The item during questions.
Great. Sorry. The next is ENB Therapeutics. New York Ventures would like to ask the board for authorization to co-invest up to $520,000 in ENB Therapeutics, current convertible note. ENB this is a follow-on investment. ENB is currently in the portfolio. ENB is a minority and woman-led New York City-based biotechnology company that is developing a therapeutic that reverses resistance to cancer immunotherapy. Cancer immunotherapies have shown unprecedented, long-lasting responses in such cancers as melanoma and non-small cell lung cancers. However, approximately 60% of the patients treated with immunotherapy fail to respond to the treatments and are left with few alternative options. ENB's therapeutic drug can help unlock the full therapeutic potential of the cancer immunotherapy by enabling key immune cells to infiltrate and attack tumors, thereby eradicating tumor cells and prolonging the patient's survival. The convertible note is expected to fund a phase 1 trial over the next 8 months that will lead the company to a phase 2 efficacy trials. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Clayton. Jonathan, if you would like to present your MyMe item.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, board members. New York Ventures is requesting of the board a up to $1 million Series A preferred equity investment in MyMe. MyMe is a subscription-based digital healthcare platform that targets individuals suffering from autoimmune diseases. This is a very important problem that, in fact, 1 in every 5 Americans suffers from some sort of chronic autoimmune disease, with patients typically suffering up to 7 years before any sort of formal diagnosis. MyMe evaluates a user's body signals in real time using an AI-based pattern analysis platform to identify the cause of an individual's multifaceted symptoms. Based on this information, MyMe is able to deliver personalized nutrition and health coaching, guiding users towards a healthier lifestyle that eventually is symptom-free. MyMe has customers. They've had approximately 1,500 individuals that have gone through the program. And one of the important benefits is reduced reliance on prescription and over-the-counter drugs to manage some of the symptoms from autoimmune diseases, which lowers healthcare costs for payers and individuals. The company is woman-led, started by Meta Durberg, who created the original protocol to address her own autoimmune diseases. She employs 44 people, 26 full-time, 18 part-time, and is anticipating significant growth in 2022 and 2023. The Accelerate New York Seed Fund, an ESD Fund of Funds program, previously invested in MyMe in 2017. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thanks, Jonathan. Are there any questions or comments from the directors on any of these interesting and pretty cool items? All right. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to these items, and I will take each one individually and ask for a motion and a vote. So I'll now entertain a motion for the approval of item 4A, the investment in kangaroo time as presented by Pravina.
So moved. Benson.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I would now entertain a motion of approval of item 4B, the investment in Terra Biosystems, Inc., as also presented by Pravina.
So moved. Sherry.
Second. Benson.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I would now entertain a motion for the approval of item 4C, the investment in Emoji Inc., as presented by Clayton.
So moved.
Seconded. Hilda.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Entertain a motion for approval of item 4D, the investment in ENB Therapeutics, also presented by Clayton.
So moved. Benson.
Second, Sherry.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. and I would entertain a motion for approval of item 4E, the investment in MyMe Inc., as presented by Jonathan Green.
So moved, Benson.
Second, Sherry.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I would now like to turn things over to our acting general counsel and recently officer of the corporation. Goldie Wexel will provide a summary of the administrative items on today's agenda, and I will call for a vote on all of the items. Goldie, when you're ready.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. And good morning, directors. As a reminder, in order to help streamline our board meetings, we have previously implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative action section of the agenda. You have received a full set of written descriptive materials for each of these items, but rather than having individual oral presentations made on each, I will provide a brief summary of the items. At the conclusion of the summary, we will then entertain any comments or questions the directors may have. As noted earlier, we did not receive any comments from the public on any of these items. Following my presentation and any questions, the acting chair will then call for a motion to approve the entire slate of administrative actions. The administrative action items submitted for your consideration today and for which you have received written materials are summarized as follows. The first item relates to 95 Perry Street in Buffalo, New York, which is the location of our Buffalo ESD office. And this item is a request for authorization for the corporation to enter into a license agreement with the New York State Office of General Services for the use and occupancy of a portion of the corporation's lease space in the Western New York regional offices located at 95 Perry Street in Buffalo, New York. This action will allow the executive chamber to occupy a portion of the 5th floor where ESD staff have previously been located. It is expected that some ESD staff will remain on the portion of the 5th floor not being occupied by the executive chamber, and that some staff will need to relocate to the 4th floor of the leased premises. The next item is a request for authorization to enter into a contract with Tangible Development, LLC, for diversity and inclusion consulting services. As discussed in the materials, Tangible Development was selected through a competitive RFP process which garnered 10 proposals. Tangible Development is a New York State certified MWBE located in the Capital Region that specializes in organizational change and development with a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The firm has a track record of assisting a range of public and private clients as small as entities with a couple dozen employees to entities with many thousands of employees in order to help those entities realize diversity and inclusion goals. The scope of work includes an assessment of ESD's policies, procedures, organizational structure, and practices to identify areas to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion across the corporation. Tangible Development and its principal, Sujata Chowdhury, have been recognized by the Albany Business Review as a leader in the diversity, equity, and inclusion field over the last 4 years. The contract term is for 2 years in an amount not to exceed $250,000. The next item is a request for authorization to amend a consultant's contract with VHB Engineering Surveying Landscape and Geology PC for consulting services in connection with the Empire Station Complex project. The amendment is for an amount not to exceed $39,635 for a new total contract amount not to exceed $298,735. This increase reflects the additional work VHB is undertaking in connection with the neighborhood condition study for the project. The next item is a request for authorization to increase the contract amount under the existing contract with the law firm of Schoeman, Updike, Kaufman, and Gerber, LLP, in order to allow them to continue to provide real estate legal services in connection with the Brooklyn Development Center mixed-use project. The contract limit will be increased to $500,000 to cover additional and necessary work that was not contemplated in the original contract. The firm is on ESD's pre-qualified list of counsel, and its original contract was approved by the board in 2019 for a term of up to 4 years with a contract limit of $250,000. All funding for this contract has been and will continue to be fully funded through a cost agreement and imprest account, which is funded by the project's conditionally designated developer. The last item is a request for authorization to enter into a 2-year contract with the law firm Mintz-Levin to serve as counsel to the corporation in connection with labor and employment matters on an as-needed basis for a contract limit up to $100,000. This may include, but not be limited to, providing advice on personnel matters, pending employment-related litigation, the review of the employee handbook and corporation policies, and employment-related documents such as correspondence and separation agreements. ESD previously retained Mintz-Levin for similar purposes, and based on the firm's performance, ESD wishes to again contract with the firm. I will now turn it back to our acting chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have on any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line today as well to take any questions. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Goldie. As noted, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to these items. Are there questions or comments from the directors on any of the 5 items?
Yeah, Kevin, I'll make a quick comment on the diversity and inclusion consultant contract, and just say that I'm really quite pleased that we're approving that contract. This is something we started working on, I would say well north of a year and a half ago. And while it's taken some time to get to the board, this is really critical. And I think it's critical that ESD be a beacon to the community with respect to our diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. And I think that as the agency emphasizes these important characteristics, we will, as an agency, be a better and more credible and smarter agency in the community. And I applaud those in the agency. There's so many that help to work on this and bring this forward, and I think this is quite important. So that will receive my wholehearted approval. So thank you.
Kevin, I have a question, maybe a couple.
Yes.
How many responses did we get? That's first.
Yeah.
And the second, what does the contract entail? What areas would they be looking at?
I can answer the first one, and that is we got 10 responses to the RFP. But I will leave it to Goldie or others to more accurately describe the scope.
Marion, do you want to discuss this?
Sure, thank you. Yes, Kevin's correct. We had 10 respondents to the RFP. 9 of them were MWBEs. I'm going to give you a little bit more, Hilda, and I know I should probably never give more than ask, but I want to make it very clear where we are. But we had 10 respondents, 9 were MWBEs. They were from across the country. I believe 8 were from New York State. To answer your question, what is the scope? They're going to look at programs that we have similar to our mentoring program. They're going to look at pay equity, not only from a gender and race perspective, but also from just the different job titles perspective. Our team, Ed Hamilton and HR, has done a very good job of looking at job title equity over the last couple of years. They're going to examine that. They're going to look at how we onboard, how do we recruit, and how do we make sure that we have how do we work to have a diverse team. The state has done some things there, but this is an opportunity for ESD to really dig deeper at our own practices and examine where we are. And one of the bigger pieces from a mentoring perspective, how do we increase our promoting from within?
Will they be looking at contracts?
No, this is only going to be from an HR perspective and a talent perspective, not necessarily from the contract perspective. Contract perspective really is on the MWBE side with Jerome Duvall and his team.
Thank you. Well, I'm very happy that we are moving in this direction. Very much needed. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Marion. Thanks, Hilda. Any other questions or comments from the directors?
Yeah, I also want to just acknowledge Marion's efforts on this. Thank you, Marion, for continuing to move the ball forward. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
All right. If no further comments or questions, I would entertain approval for items 5A through 5E as submitted on the written materials provided to the directors and summarized today.
So moved, Benson.
Second, Sherry.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Right.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I so move.
I'll second it with pleasure.
Thanks all. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Great job, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, team.
Bye.
See ya.